Now, the United States Navy will honor him by scattering his ashes in the waters of Pearl Harbor.
On a sleepy Sunday morning, like any other, the world we knew changed forever.
There was friction between the United States and Japan. I didn't know that it was anywhere near an actual attack.
When the general alarm sounded, I was the first one there, had the cover off of one of the 50 cal machine guns. The other one about halfway off. A torpedo plane coming in drops a torpedo and heads towards Battleship Row. I stop what I'm doing to follow the torpedo over to hit one of the battleships. I don't know whether it was in West Virginia, Oklahoma. And as I turned around to pull the cover off the rest of the way, another torpedo plane drops his torpedo head there, and I see this big red ball.
USS West Virginia took 6 torpedoes, then sunk into the mud of Pearl Harbor. USS Oklahoma was hit by numerous torpedoes and capsized in less than 12 minutes. Hundreds of men were trapped below decks. Some were trapped for more than 25 hours before being rescued. 429 lost their lives.
Well, we were right next to the Arizona, and she was all tore up. It was awful, you know. And the only hit we got is, like I said, is that one of the bombs intended for the Arizona hit in between us and then knocked our propellers off.
About 8:10 a.m., an armor-piercing bomb hit USS Arizona forward of the ammunition magazine. The explosion and fire killed over 1,000 crewmen. The repair ship Vestal was moored alongside the Arizona. The explosion and fireball burst 500 feet into the air, thrusting men on nearby ships in the air and snuffed out flames on the Vestal.
Something was causing it to sink, and our captain had got blown over the side. He got back aboard, and the exec had passed the word to abandon ship. I was going to let it get deeper in the water.
I could see the black smoke from one end to the other because the ships were on fire and burning the oil. I started crying. I'm not ashamed to admit it, because of all the sailors that were trying to save themselves, and all the dead bodies in the oil, and the ships were on fire and they were jumping off the ships.
There were roughly 150 vessels in that harbor that morning. There were people who got killed on other vessels that morning. There were kids that did great things that morning. Never ever got recognized.
The second wave of 170 Japanese planes arrived at 8:40 a.m. and was met with gunfire. The Japanese strike force continued to pound island airfields, Battleship Row, and the shipyards. By 10 a.m. the attack was over. The Japanese considered a third wave to hit the oil reserves, but ultimately decided not to launch another attack, in part because the U.S. aircraft carriers, still unaccounted for, still posed too great a threat. The Admiral felt the 2 waves of attacks had effectively neutralized the Pacific Fleet, which had been the objective. 21 vessels, including all 8 battleships, were sunk or damaged. 169 aircraft were destroyed, 159 more were damaged. American loss of life totaled 2,403 military personnel and civilians. 1,177 men, almost half the total, died on USS Arizona. Within weeks, 3 battleships were returned to service. Eventually, all but 3 ships of those sunk or damaged were completely repaired and returned to duty. The attack united a nation behind a complete commitment to victory in World War II. 44 long months of war followed the attack on Pearl Harbor. Sea power determined the course of the struggle and its outcome. There was a decisive shift in naval warfare, from the dominance of the battleship to the emergence of the aircraft carrier and the submarine. Japanese forces had advanced through Southeast Asia, the Central Pacific, and the Western Pacific, where their advances were thwarted by U.S. Navy ships and aircraft in the battles of Coral Sea and Midway. Leading the way to victories on Japanese-occupied islands, ultimately to victory in the Pacific. During World War II and through the rest of the 20th century and into the 21st century, America grew into the preeminent world superpower with a desire to safeguard freedom and to answer the call when threatened. We will continue to remember those who gave their lives on December 7, 1941. Remember Pearl Harbor will always be a rallying cry for the U.S. Navy, a force whose core attributes of initiative, integrity, accountability, and toughness have withstood the ultimate test. That same heritage remains true today as it did on that infamous day, just as it did in 1775, to serve as America's ultimate away team, to project power, to protect American commercial and security interests, and when necessary, to land Marines on hostile shores, a strong Navy, a United States Navy that provides assurance, security, and stability around the globe.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.